example 7. It says, given that sine of theta is equal to a negative 1/2, and theta is in between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi, it's asking us to find the half angle of cosine. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my triangle. It says right here we are dealing with quadrant 4. So we are in quadrant 4. There's my triangle. Here's theta. And sine of theta, the opposite over the hypotenuse, is a negative 1/2. So my opposite is a negative 1. My hypotenuse is a 2. Our hypotenuse always has to be a positive number. So my opposite is going to go ahead and be that negative 1. We can go ahead and implement our Pythagorean theorem, and we would find that that missing length is just radical 3. So again, we're dealing with the cosine half angle formula. So I have the cosine formula is equal to the plus or minus square root of 1 plus cosine of theta all over 2. Now cosine of theta in this case is just adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's just radical 3 over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug that into my formula. So I have 1 plus radical 3 over 2 divided by 2. And again, just follow that pattern of finding the common denominator for our numerator. And then we're going to go ahead and compute with that complex fraction, which would give me the radical 2 plus radical 3 all over 4. And then if we were to split those two, our numerator and our denominator, with radicals, we would just get a radical 2 plus radical 3 all over 2. Okay, so now we are dealing with half angles. We know that our theta is in quadrant 3, but we need to make sure where our half angle is located in. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this guy. So we have to figure out where our half angle is located. So I'm going to go ahead and take where our theta was located, which was in between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. And if we're just trying to find where our half angle is located, I'm going to go ahead and divide all these guys by 2. So our half angle is really located in between 3 pi over 4 and pi. And that is somewhere in our second quadrant. So in this case, we have a negative cosine. So in this case, our final answer is going to be negative. So then we have a negative root 2 plus root 3 all over 2. And that is our final answer. So in some problems, we're going to go ahead and have to manipulate our original location of the theta in order to find wherever our half angle is located. Now the reason why that I didn't do that for example 6 is because our theta is located in quadrant 1. So if I were to go ahead, it was in between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. In order to find that half angle location, it would still be between 0 degrees and now 45 degrees. This is still in quadrant 1. So if we start in quadrant 1, we're always going to end up in quadrant 1, so there is no need to reconfigure if our ending answer is going to be positive or negative. Now if we're in quadrant 2, 3, or 4, that's when we have to manipulate our starting point of theta in order to find out wherever our half angle theta is located in. Okay, so let's go ahead and try doing example 8. So try on your own, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and continue on with the video. Okay, so it says, given that tangent of theta is 15 over 8, and it's telling us that theta is between pi and 3 pi over 2. So this is going to be in quadrant 3. It's asking us to find the half angle for cosine and tangent. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out my triangle. We're in quadrant 3. Here's theta, and tangent is just opposite over adjacent. So this is going to be a negative 15, negative 8. And I hope we remember our triples. Our hypotenuse is going to be 17. So then we have cosine of theta is going to be a negative 8 over 17, and then our sine of theta is going to be a negative 15 over 17. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out our cosine of the half angle. So that's the plus or minus square root of 1 plus cosine of theta all over 2. We have our cosine of theta is a negative 8 over 17. So I have 1 plus the negative 8 over 17 all over 2. I'm going to go ahead and find a common denominator. So that's 17 minus 8 over 17 divided by 2. This becomes 9 over 17 divided by 2. And again, I'm going to go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal of our second fraction. So that becomes 9 over 17 times 1/2. So we get the radical of 9 over 34. And again, if I were to go ahead and split up those radicals, I have a radical 9 over radical 34. So this becomes plus or minus 3 over radical 34. And then we would go ahead and rationalize our denominator. So I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by radical 34. So we get plus or minus 3 radical 34 all over 34. Okay, so we can't simplify this guy any further. However, we do need to go ahead and figure out if our any answer is going to be positive or negative. So again, just like example 7, we're going to have to go ahead and manipulate where our theta was located. So we have pi, theta is between pi and 3 pi over 2. Our half angle is then going to be located between a pi over 2 and a 3 pi over 4. So that is somewhere in quadrant 2. So this time, again, our cosine is going to be negative. So our ending answer is going to be a negative 3 radical 34 all over 34. Okay. Then next, just go ahead and figure out tangent. So we have the tangent of the half angle. That formula was the sine of theta all over 1 plus cosine of theta. We said sine of theta was negative 15 over 17. Then we have 1 plus the cosine of theta, which was a negative 8 over 17. I'm going to rewrite my numerator, and then I'm going to go ahead and find a common denominator for my denominator. So this becomes a negative 15 over 17 all over 9 over 17. Again, we have a fraction divided by a fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and take the reciprocal of my second fraction and multiply that out. So then this becomes a negative 15 over 9. And then we can simplify this guy even more to a negative 5 over 3. And we are done.